Hello, my soul-seeking friends. It's Shanna. Thank you so much for listening to Sense of Soul podcast. Enlightening conversations with like-minded souls from around the world, sharing their journey of finding their light within, turning pain into purpose, and awakening to their true sense of soul. If you like what you hear, show me some love and rate, like, and subscribe. And consider becoming a Sense of Soul Patreon member, where you will get ad-free episodes, monthly circles, and much more. Now go grab your coffee, open your mind, heart, and soul. It's time to awaken. Today on Sense of Soul, we have the fabulous mother and daughter duo, the hosts of Daughters of the Moon podcast, Kim and Barb. Their philosophy revolves around the belief in transformative power of holistic healing. With a deep-rooted commitment to spiritual guidance and insight, they serve as a catalyst for personal growth and self-realization. Their approach encompasses a variety of modalities, including oracle readings, Reiki, and energy clearings, all aimed at nurturing individuals and groups on their journey towards fulfillment and purpose. And without further ado, please welcome Kim and Barb. Hello, ladies.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Very good. Great. How are you?
I'm good. So good to see you guys again.
Yeah, you nice. Too. Yes, you too.
I got to be on your podcast. And how's that going? Daughters of the Moon?
Oh, it's been going really good, actually. We've been getting a lot of people. We're actually every second week, we're going to release 2 in 1 week because we have enough guests. So that's kind of a nice thing. And it's fun.
It is.
Yeah. Thanks you guys so much for coming on. Maybe just introduce you individually and just share a little bit who you are, where you are, and how you got onto this journey.
Okay.
Do you want to go first, Barb?
Sure. Kim and I are always talking about things to do together. And for over years, we've been talking about we wanted to put our own studio together and this and that. And it just didn't happen for one reason or another. So when we do our readings and we, stock and things like that with our readings sometimes. But anyways, when this year we talked about it and we said, gee, we should try some of this podcast stuff. And both of us were very, very green at it. And Kimmy is the one that does all the mandating of everything that's important. Thank God for her. And so anyways, we started doing this because we both do readings. We do Reiki. We work with our crystals, oils, and everything else. We had already an understanding of spirituality. And over the years, we've taken classes and we know lots of people that are also into different modalities and that kind of thing. And we've experienced them. They've experienced our tools too, sort of thing. And so we decided that we know enough about spirituality. We wanted to share it. And we wanted to let people know that there was all these different types of spirituality things that you can do that can excite them and give them some bliss, we hope, and help them to find their little walk in life that makes them feel so enchanted and important. And so that's why we started doing this. And we just love it. It's the two of us, we have lots of giggles and laughs, and we meet important and silly people like you do that also likes to laugh and do things and share. And that was what it was about, was sharing and learning more. Because, and the education we're receiving is unbelievable. We thought we knew lots. Well, we know more now. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So that's kind of sort of me in a nutshell, I guess, as far as it started out.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh. What a cool mother.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. She was always like, that's kind of how it worked for me, is like when I was young, she was into tea leaves and she was into readings and things like that. And so as I was growing up, she was always like, oh, let's try these tea leaves. I'm like, I can't do that. Yeah. Let's try this out. And so then we always had that bond, which was great. And then it just kind of branched out into, hey, let's take this class. Let's take that class. And we always loved learning. Yeah. And she always I think, inspired both my brother and I, because she was very much, let's go out and look at the stars. And so everything was very magical and mystical. And so that kind of brought us like through our lives. And then, when we decided to do the podcast, we're like, okay, so we started out together. It was just her and I. And then we're like, what if we tried to get some guests? And, you start local with the people, because we've been very blessed that we have a lot of friends that are into the spirituality. I think like attracts like. And then we started branching out further. It was like, okay, maybe let's just try to get people that we don't know. And then, we had a good reception for that. And it's amazing the people we get to meet. Like we've had you on our podcast, and that was an amazing experience. And just what you learn from people and that creative collaboration that you make just interviewing, because it opens our minds too to different thoughts and ideas. Like a lot of times we do the podcast and interview, which I'm sure and you come off the interview and you're like, what? Exactly. Like, where can we go from here? And this is inspiring. And so then we started out really just talking about spirituality. And then we started expanding a little bit, which I think you do as you grow your podcast, is like, okay, we want to keep it authentic about living a good life, but we could do that with mind and body and spirituality. And that's kind of.
Yeah. Like you never even thought about bringing animals into it and all the rest of it, because it's all spirituality, right? And nowadays our animals are like people, and we just love them to death. So bringing that also into it was like, whoa, that is pretty cool. 'Cause people really adore them, and they need to know ways of helping them too, right? So I kind of cut you off.
That's okay. And it's nice because we have that bond. And I think that's important for people to see that mother-daughter bond, because there's been so much trauma and so much angst about that mother-daughter bond that I think it's really important to share that out with people, that there can be that connection, that you can still, have your own ideas, that you can gather together and bring that feminine energy together, which I think is really beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
So beautiful. So amazing, because me and my girls, have a special something too. Not that I don't have with my sons. Not that I don't. I do.
Right.
They're part of my journey.
Yeah.
It's something that I had to learn over time, because I, of course, didn't have children and assumed that, well, they're going to be my greatest teachers.
And they are.
And I should have, because they are. Yes.
They are. Like, Kimmy always still give me information, and I appreciate it so much. And she keeps me in line. Because her mother can be a little bit of a gypsy, so Kimmy is the person. She keeps everything organized and everything like that, and she always did. Even when she was young, I would like to cook and bake and things like that, but Kimmy would go in and arrange my cupboards and organize and stuff like that. It was like way cool, because number one, I don't want to do it. So it was really nice. It was really nice that we even worked that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if something needed to be done, we did it together, that kind of thing. And it's really cool because we really have relied on each other a lot, actually. And not just financially, we've done it spiritually, we've done it emotionally. We crossed all those little avenues, or big avenues, what you want to call them, together. Really cool. And this last little bit, I got to go to Ontario. My son was in a bodybuilding competition. And he came.
Wow.
Yes, it was pretty awesome, I might add. It was not bad sitting in and watching it.
I'm sure.
So it was fun. But I find that now that he's in his 50s too, talking about children and that kind of thing, it was really interesting, because him and I have also become back to sort of a normalcy sort of thing. Everything have come back together. It took a while for that, because he was doing his thing in his life, and men take the responsibilities in a different hold than we do in some ways. So this last visit was a nice generating an understanding, and we have a real understanding. His comment to me was always after the Three Musketeers, Mom. It was always Kimmy and I. And I thought, Dean, that's so nice, that you say that and you recognize it. So it was like, wow, we're back into the group again one more time, heavy. Beautiful.
I love that so much. Oh my goodness. Kimmy, let me ask you, growing up though, I just called you Kimmy. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah, it just came out. But yeah, when you were growing up, I mean, I know for myself, I did what your mom did. So I was the mom that was waking my kids up at 4 a.m. Let's go outside. There's a meteor shower right now. Right? They're like, oh, what?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, was this just your norm? I mean, did you ever rebel against it, or did you just flow with it?
I think I just lived with it. And, it was fun because all my friends loved to be at our house because our house was different, right? Not that I didn't have rules, and I actually had really strong rules, but it was fun because at one point we didn't have a couch. And so we had big cushions on the floor. And like my girlfriends thought this was the coolest thing, right? And my brother's friends
Right.
thing, right? So there was always that air about it was just really free in the house, even though there was rules.
Yeah.
So I think that for that was really a good thing for me. And so, yeah, I just kind of went with the flow until, I had my little rebellion when I was about 17, but,
Right.
other than that, no, I think, and it intrigued me because I was always interested in the things she wanted to teach us. And I think it helped me expand my mind too, right? Because then when you had the imagination and you'd say something to her, she'd inspire you and say, hey, well, what was that dream about? Or what did you daydream about? And so there was that to go on as well. So, and then in turn, when I had my boys, I did the same thing, and we've always lived fairly close to each other for most of the part. So her and I would be like, "Okay, boys, get up. We're going out to look at the stars," right? Like, so it was come full circle, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And our 100th episode, we actually interviewed the boys for that just because we can, because we can take those liberties.
Yeah.
When we asked them about it, that was the one thing that they basically said they remember was that it was so open in the house that they had that option to make their own choices in life of what to believe and what
How old
path
are they?
to go down. One just turned 28 and the other one's 33.
Yeah.
Wow. So were your friends coming over and been like, can your mom like read my cards?
Yeah.
My kids, yes.
Where your mom permed my hair, where your mom cut my hair, where your mom, I was a little bit of a master of all trades at that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She can read my tea leaves.
Yes. Okay. Love that. And I don't know much about that. I have a friend who's from Romania who she has gypsy in her, which is, I'm not sure what that's considered. I've never asked her, but when she first came to America, it was interesting. She didn't speak any English, but her and I just immediately connected. And this is, gosh, probably almost 30 years ago. So it is about 30 years ago. Talk about a strong woman. But one thing that I noticed was very, very important to them was their divinity. They would use regular cards, regular deck, not with tarot or anything. It was just a regular card deck. And then they would, do the tea leaves and the coffee grinds as well as another one.
Yeah.
So how did you come to that, Barb?
I started just playing around with it for fun, and the kids enjoyed it so much, right? And I started reading up on it and things like that, how to define the edges of what you're trying to see and things like that. And then doing it with the kids was fun because when they're young like that, their imagination is wild, right? And talk about gypsies, I was already a little bit of a gypsy myself, and I take a gypsy mind as I'm everywhere. Yeah. You can't hold me down, I'm everywhere in my mind, sort of thing.
I thought that was ADHD. See, I've been calling it something wrong. I love it.
Good call. Anyway, so with time and the kids too, because they make your imagination go wild when their imagination is trying to see, right? And so it was sort of a building of communities of the mind and reading the teacups with them when they were younger. So that only inspired me to take it to another level myself, okay? Because I had to be better than them. So I had to see things so that they could go, where is that? Right? How do you see that? Right? And that kind of thing. So I just had to keep my momentum of knowing about it higher than theirs, because kids are pretty fast at picking up and doing stuff, right? And she was phenomenal. Her mind was just picking up and grabbing things too. So I had to keep ahead of them. Okay, so I had to do some reading and sourcing it out to find what tea leaves could do and how much fun. And because when they got together doing the tea leaves, they would giggle and giggle.
Oh yeah. So you know what I do that's something kind of like tea leaves is rock readings.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. What is
my most favorite thing to do? And I've never yet met anyone who didn't enjoy it and didn't at the very end say, oh wow. It's almost like a tool to help your own discernment grow, to trust yourself and what you see. So basically you go out in nature and you find yourself a rock. Okay. And it's got to be a good size, and can't be one that's all smooth, because it has to be very texturized so you could see symbols and signs in it, 4 sides. So it has to be very rough. So once you find your stone, you ask Mother Earth if you can borrow this for divination. And you're going to have a partner or a scribe. That person will be writing down things for you. And you hold it in your hand and ask a question that you want to see. And the scribe writes down your question. Then you pick one side. You look at the side, and whatever symbol you see, there you have to pick 4 symbols for each side, and you do 4 sides. So at the very end, you go through each symbol and you ask the question. So if it's, what should I do next on my journey? And you saw an arrow. How would that arrow answer this question? And so you write that down. And so at the very end, the scribe reads the answers, just answers. And it is beautiful. I mean,
wow.
I had, like a 5-year-old ask, why does the moon shine like the sun at night?
Right.
And it gives the answer. I mean, it's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
We'll try it.
Yeah.
We'll try it.
Yeah, I'll send you my directions that I give my students.
Love that.
I taught that in one of my courses. So I'll send you it over.
Cool.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Yeah.
I love that because I know when I go camping in the summertime, and then I just like peace and solitude.
Yeah.
So I sit and I look at the trees, and then I find things in the trees, faces and animals, and then I think about what that means. Like, why is that owl showing up there? Why is that fairy showing up on the tree? And then it always brings answers to me. And I've always been kind of a person that can see things
from other things,
in other things,
like animals in the clouds. And
yeah.
That's pretty
cool.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that I do, and I find it so peaceful, and I find it so, you just kind of get lost in it. And I think that's good, because to me it's almost like a meditation of sorts, because you're finding that space within to just be.
And I used to paint things too. I used to love to paint things, so I painted rocks sometimes too, because rocks, you can do them on the different levels of 3D and that kind of thing when you're painting them. So I actually glued one together. She still has it, and I bet you that thing's like 30 years old, but has to be at
eventually
least.
It's going to disintegrate. No.
Right, eventually.
It's in my big thing of all the different rocks that I've collected over the years since I've been a kid, right? And that's, I'm not a hoarder, but that is one thing. There's just some things that are dear like that. And I think because of my sign, I'm an earth sign for one. So I'm attracted to rocks and things like that. And I think that that is something that you carry with you because you are attracted to that energy that it gives out, right?
I know, but at some point you lose that imagination. Like your mom was just saying, when they're little, it's easy to see these things.
Right.
But as an adult, you're like, I can't find anything. And you do, but it takes you longer. Where a kid's just like, I see this, I see this, I see this.
It's true. We also have medicine bags that we carry too. And
what's in those?
we both put our own little special things in it. And mine is, if I go someplace that's new and I haven't been there before, I try to collect a little pebble or a rock or a piece of wood or something and throw it in my medicine bag. Only because it gave me safe trip going there. It's going to give me safe trip coming home. And I believe that the energy from that too stays with you. So I keep filling it with the little pebbles of rocks and that. And eventually I take them out and change them up sort of thing and get new ones. But to me, that's just my safe journey. I've gone there. They've given me something to say thank you for coming. And I've said thank you for letting me be here. And I move away with that. And so, you always collect stuff in yours too, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool.
What's in yours, Kim?
I have some crystals in there and some rocks that I found along the way. I think at one point somebody gave me a little bit of ceremonial tobacco and I put that in there. Yeah, if I find something, I think there's a little, I'd have to check because it's been a bit since I looked in it, but I think I have like a little saint thing in there. Because I love, as much as I kind of am earth-based and not really connected to religion of sorts, I sort of love religion as a whole. So I'm attracted to all different kinds of things with religion. And so then to me, those are special things to put in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, were you taught some religion, or were these religions and saints that you discovered along your journey?
I used to dabble in church. I don't even know how to say that right.
She was baptized a Roman Catholic.
I was baptized Catholic.
Yeah.
I dabbled in church. I loved being in church when I was young. I loved, the messages from source. And I mean, at that point I didn't know, but I would go, and I remember going to all these different churches and coming home, and somebody said to me one time, well, you can't go to the Protestant church. I'm like, why not? So then I said to Mom, can I not go to that church? Do I have to go to the Catholic church? She goes, you can go to whichever church you like. So I did. I went to all kinds because I loved that energy that, I don't know, there was just an energy that you went in, and I was in my own space and I didn't necessarily commune with the people, but I wanted those messages. And it always seemed like, I remember in my first marriage, at one point we were having problems and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go to church. And I hadn't been in church in a really long time because I just kind of do my own thing. And I went to church that day with I just don't know what my next step is. And I was like, got in there and it was like the preacher was talking to me. I was like,
right.
Right. But yeah, to answer your question, kind of just those things, and then just some studying. And then, my grandmother has talked about saints a lot as I was growing up, and Mom talked about it because she had more of a Catholic background than me. And so, yeah, you kind of adopt them in, and then, you start just finding them through reading and things like that. Then I'd find the different saints and goddesses and that feminine energy, because I was always very attracted to that as well.
Yeah.
Gosh, very similar, Kim. You and I have a very similar journey. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I too, I dabbled in all of the religions a little bit, but grew up Catholic, or was at least, generation after generation before we're so. Yeah. So, tell me about that, Barb. I'm sure you are from a lineage of a bunch of Catholics as well. So how is that going?
I grew up very strong Catholic as we were kids. In fact, I was just talking to my mother about it just recently, about when we grew up, we had the Blessed Virgin Mary statue in the living room on top of the fireplace mantle. And she was probably at least 3 feet, if not bigger.
Wow.
And we prayed to her pretty much every night and went to church on our Sundays and stuff like that. I was in a relationship that was not that good. And when I went to the church trying to get some solace, they weren't giving me what I needed. So I had to find another way of making my life feel normal and still bring my children into it, because now being a single parent, right, it's a whole different ball game than it is when you're in a relationship. And so I started going to the library, sourcing out anything I could do on psychology and why the mind works the way it is and how it is connected to religion in its sources. And so that I found out through that how everything works together. Everything's in threes. It doesn't matter if through the church or whether it's through Reiki or whether it's through magic or whether if you're a witch or whatever, everything's in 3 times. Mm-hmm. And so it was sort of like it all came together then for me. And I thought, isn't that interesting how closely we're connected to spirituality in a whole and the religion too. Mm-hmm. They're all really connected, right? Mm-hmm. And it depends on which way you want to go and which way you want to believe in it, sort of thing. So what I did, because the church had sort of failed me, I started going out onto my spiritual side. And the more I brought in, I believed in, like fairies and all that other stuff, right? And I believed in all kinds of stuff when the kids were
the church didn't welcome you in as a single mother to help you and to give you that support and community. They kicked you out, right? Like
they did. They basically, I told them, what was going on in my relationship at the time. And they told me that I should stay with him no matter what, because he had the devil in him and I wasn't helping him if I was leaving. Well, that was okay. I felt sorry for him that that's what they thought he had. But at the same time, what about me?
Yeah.
And what about me with my children? Because I was going to be having the 85 or 90% of the time with my children. So I had to be stronger.
Yep.
I had to maintain some kind of a livelihood so that they would be able to be normal kids and going to school and doing the things in life that they should have. And so, so that's when spirituality really cut in with me. It was like, okay, the church doesn't give me what I need. So I need to find out where I can get some solace. And spirituality is where I found it.
This is what happened to me. My aunt got kicked out of the church, so that's how I dabbled in other religions, because then I'd go with her to the fellowship church, and I'm like, "Whoa, this is fun!" Bands,
yeah.
It stopped with you. It's unfortunate. I don't know if they still do that. I've talked to some, like when my dad died, I was talking to a priest. I mean, a lot of things have changed.
Oh yeah.
And I think in the conversation, he said, well, they have to, because otherwise our church will be empty. I mean, we have to evolve with them. And that's what I've been trying to say for a long time. So, hopefully that wouldn't happen.
Maybe I should clarify too. Like, I have nothing wrong with the church, and I can still go to church, and I still take communion sometimes as well.
They let you back in.
I let me back in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It wasn't a matter to me. It's not about permission, is it?
Thank you for saying that. I just had a conversation with somebody about this, and I think that when you need permission from your authority, that's a little culty.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that's where I think like the line is drawn.
That was me. If I needed permission to do it, was like, why? That's supposed to be an open space for me to catch things that embrace me and give me what I need. So why do I need permission? Like, and to me was when I was growing up, because I was Roman Catholic, my aunt and uncle were getting married in the church across the road, which was Anglican. And I had to go to the Catholic church and ask permission so I could go into that church to be their flower girl, right?
Yeah. When Jesus was the guy who did not ask for permission, okay? He was going and speaking wherever he wanted, and so I just, that's, it's just crazy to me. So I'm glad that things are changing.
Yes.
But it changes inside you.
Yes. I think religion, regardless of what you name it, Catholic, spiritualism, Buddhism, whatever, I really think that religion is a personal thing. And I think it's when we bring the institutions into it and they kind of regulate how our religion goes. Because you're right, when Jesus was doing his thing, he was open to everybody to come to him, right? When you look at all these religions, that's how it was. I mean, there was a God and people came through Jesus to get there and learn the teachings of him.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you can't come because, shepherd, you need to go and look at the sheep because you're not welcome here. That's not how it worked. No. And I don't think that's in the end the basis of how religion was really meant to be. I think it was supposed to be more open. I think as humans, we institutionalized it and put those restrictions on it for people.
A woman. I mean, it's just a little shifts in perspectives, and you can just reclaim that power, because I feel like that's what you did, Barb. And, you probably did it for generations of women before you.
Yes, I think so too. To me, being a woman was supposed to mean that you were free to do things that you wanted to do. And even back then, because women in those days, we were supposed to be in the kitchen doing our things and whatnot. Well, now I'm a single woman, and I can't stay in the kitchen cooking. I have to go out and work, and I think that too showed me my individuality. Mm-hmm. And maintained my own strength of mind, sort of thing. And how was I going to raise the kids? Was I going to raise them still in a restricted kind of way because that was the way I was raised? Or was I going to allow them to be a little more free because I loved being free? Yeah. I loved being free. And
she still loves being free.
But I mean, to me, like I went when I was 26. I bought myself a 1957 step van, and I painted it with a paintbrush and the grill, everything. Took my carpet out of my living room, put it in the step van, put the kids' bunk beds in the back of the van. I told you I was a gypsy.
Yeah, I was about to say, are you Romanian? That was like in my mind. Do you have Romanian in you?
To me, it was, don't hold me back because I'm trying to learn still.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not in school and everything else and I have children, I still want to learn. I want to find the magic that's out there, because the world is so big and so beautiful. And we moved from Ontario at that point out west here. And so the kids got to see another part of the world, another part of Canada, but another part of how they live and what they experience, right? So again, a freedom of mind, freedom of choice, and that kind of thing. And that's what I wanted them to know, was just because we're not around relatives and stuff there means we could build our own community of relatives and stuff here.
That's right. And I think we talked about when I was on your podcast that the word choice in Greek is heresy.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because that was such a limitation, or else, right?
Yeah, right.
So choice was not even an option. It was heresy. So the fact that we can be women and make choice and do whatever the F we want to, in our lives, that is freedom. That's sovereignty.
But absolutely, back then, people were saying to me, "Are you crazy? What's wrong with you?" I was
crazy.
I was a really good one for everybody to gossip about, because I didn't know at halftime what I was really going to do for sure. So how would they ever be able to follow me and figure?
And they were jealous of you. They were envious that they couldn't do that.
It's like, I'm just doing this because I can, and I want to see what will happen, and so that to me shows my children's strength, individuality, freedom, choices, and all that. So as much at the time they're going, oh, do we really have to move? Yes, you do. Mom has a job there. We're going, and so, yeah. But in the day, it was like other women my age were all going, what the hell's wrong with her?
Well, I just wanted to see a picture of you all hippied out with your van and your kids like hanging out with their mom's son. I know you got pictures. I hope so. Do you? I have a perfect visual of it.
Yeah, she was the long flowing like just what you're thinking. That was it. And
I bet
awesome,
you were super cute. Oh yes.
There was a freedom, and I think you're right. People were jealous because they weren't as empowered to take those opportunities to make those paths for themselves, right? They were maybe stuck in something that they didn't want to be stuck in, and be like, I'm kind of jealous because you're going out and doing these things. So, I mean, it's great that the world has shifted, it's still got some shifting to go. Because I think now we do try to empower each other as opposed to, like, why are you doing that and holding, trying to stifle you down because you're making these bold moves.
How dare you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a common thing for people to sell everything and go buy an RV and live that way.
Right?
I mean,
no, I try to convince my husband of it. I'm like, we should just sell our house, sell our thing.
I know people, yes.
Put our most precious things in storage and go travel with our RV. I'd be happy as a lark.
Yeah, we're so attached to all of this. It's just, the experiences are far more, rich. Look at your life and what you've just made an example of that, it's just beautiful. I'm envious.
Thank you.
I'm getting ready to go up to my mom's. I need to tell her, come on, dude, let's go solve your shit and let's go.
Right. Get the girls and let's go for a bit. Yeah.
You can still go. You can hit every Catholic church all the way.
Right. I'll be in the RV.
Yeah, we'll go to Canada. We'll hook up with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome.
You're so sweet.
We would love that.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah. So tell me what you guys do locally or maybe now even virtually, remote. Do you guys offer services?
Oh, yeah.
So I've just started getting back into it a little bit because I was very not about my corporate job, but I was kind of making some shifts now. So I've just started getting back into doing Reiki and doing some readings. And I'm looking at trying to put something together for us that we can teach some people some different spirituality things. I'm not sure what that really plays out as yet. I have some different thoughts in my mind. I love my oils and things like that. So I feel like that's part of my journey. And I'm kind of want to get into some herbalism so I could bring that into my practice as well. So that's kind of what I do. And then I do the backdoor stuff for the podcast, which I absolutely love. It is such a passion of mine. And I feel so energized by doing it. So continue on definitely with the podcast, see where that grows. And I always joke to my boys that one day we're going to be the Joe Rogan's spirituality. So
yes, I can totally say it. What about you, Barb? What do you do?
Okay, I do readings, do Reiki. I've done a few shows here and there. I don't really use the oracle cards as such. I do when I do a show, but most of the time I have a tarot card I use, and they're called the red cards. They're like playing cards. And so I use those. On the most part, I use the oracle cards when I do a show. So I guess I entertain as such. And I guess what you call it. Do a lot of teacup readings. I like dabbling with crystals and things like that. I don't know, like ask me and I'll if I know how to do it, I'll try it with you. I'm that kind of person, or teach me. And I'll put that, like when I do my Reiki and that type of thing, I use any kind of modality that the body tells me to use or spirit tells me to use to help that person find their way. I am a medium as well. So, I see some of those other people that like to hang out sometimes, that kind of thing. So that's kind of sort of what I do, that you ask me and I'll try it.
Where can anybody find you if they wanted a reading?
Oh, they can find us on Daughters of the Moon, Gmail.
And then we have a website, Daughters of the Moon podcast. I'll have to get it to you because I can't remember. It's a big, long, complicated one. And then we have a YouTube channel, Daughters of the Moon podcast, and then Facebook and Instagram we're on. And we do all kinds of different live readings. And I like to do my card reveals when I get
She's really
cards.
Good at
And so we have lots of fun things that we do on there. And so, that's where they can find
What's
us.
your favorite deck, Kim?
Oh, gosh.
There's a question for you.
That is a good question. I would say one of my new ones that I got was the Law of Positivism. And I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
And then I got this Priestess of Light one that I really quite enjoy. Yeah, I have a lot of favorites. To be honest, like I find some I'm starting to outgrow. So it's like, okay, do I just like pass those on to somebody? Because I feel like you outgrow things as you get into it more. And so I love anything that has super pretty pictures that are in depth that you can read a lot out of them, because that's how I tend to read, is just looking at the pictures and seeing all the messages that come out of those. So I would say that one deck, the law of positivism, is a really good deck that I love.
I like that. You want to hear something weird? So one of my listeners turned friends, she is making a deck, right? And she's using AI to do her her visual.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love AI.
Which you could just literally say, make me a picture with a girl with blonde hair, looks like a fairy, that's got a Mickey Mouse tattoo on it. Or I don't know. You could, ask anything or make. So she sends me this picture, and in the middle of this character, there was like this face, and I had seen that face before. And I was like, that's interesting, because it kind of looks like an alien in a way. So I'm going back into my pictures because I know that I've seen this face before. And it wasn't when I created this like over a year ago. Like there was no AI direction thing back then. So, but it was on Adobe, and I was making a background, but it was uneven. So I was having to add some color, and I was moving colors around. And that face appeared. No. And I was like, wait, what? I'm like, why is there this alien in the middle of like my watercolor background I'm making? And I pulled it up, and sure enough, it looks so similar. And I started to kind of flip out, because I was like, maybe AI is ET.
Maybe. You don't know.
It's showing up. Like I felt it was subliminal.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works, right? No, it's not. It's in an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it is really, really crazy. And I love the AI. Like it scares me because it's scary, but I love it to work with. Like I use it lots when I'm doing things that we're putting on the podcast, because like sometimes you're like, I want to say this, but how's a really good way to say this? And then I ask AI, and they're like, here, let me write you this blog. Perfect, thank you very much. Right? Sometimes it flows and you can just write, but sometimes it's just nice to have that prompting, or you're trying to whatever.
But don't you think though, in a way, with AI, with spirituality, when we talk about it and we say, okay, that's possible. Okay, to some people that may go, yeah, right, that's not possible at all. But in spirituality, and what we learn and what we try to believe about anything out there is possible, right? We get our minds open to catch it, and interrogate it, move it around, shake it about, find out about it, right? See if it does connect into our mind of the way we want to be and believe, right? Mm-hmm. So AI, if you think about it, is something that's similar. We're letting our minds go in somewhere, where that mind's beyond where we are, so they say. And then we jumble up with ours. And this is what gives us such a cool connection with it, because it does say to us, what if it is possible? Mm-hmm. What if that is possible? What if that is really possible? Maybe there are aliens out there. Maybe there are fairies that live in the trees. All those different things. Like, is it possible or not? And that's what AI, I think, is saying, because it's not generating an emotion with it, right? To stop us from thinking it one way or another. There is no emotional component.
I would say the only thing different, and that I think this is a message that I'm strongly always being called to share, is that artificial intelligence can never have divine wisdom. It only comes from source.
Right.
Absolutely. And so therefore we have nothing to fear.
That's
because, we are the superior when it comes to that.
And anything's possible. If we think about it, almost anything's possible.
And I think it's interesting that this was somebody that you became friends with and have this relationship, and you both had the same vision. Yeah, it's very interesting how you're like, it's kind of like a meant to be path crossing, because you're connected on that other level, on a soul level. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that is very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that synchronicity, which I'm sure you guys experience all the time, because, especially, I think, like you said, having these conversations all the time really raises your vibes. It's like an energetic coffee, like you're on all the time. And you're just on that vibe of seeing synchronicities and making these divine connections, and they're around every corner. And it's so fun. It's so fun.
It is fun.
So
It is
fun.
fun. Yeah, we love it. And we feel really blessed because we get to meet people like you, and have you on our podcast, be on your podcast is a real honor. So we really appreciate that. And yeah, just the energy you get from it. And yeah, we love it.
And I will be back in touch with you still with regards to the other stuff we talked about before.
Yes, the ancestors.
The ancestry.
Yes.
Yeah, I will be in contact with you. I have not forgotten.
I would love to do it for you. I mean, I love to do it so much. And I was also thinking, Kim, maybe me and you could do a rock reading.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah.
You'll find a rock, and then you can teach your mom, you can teach your kids. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. I'd love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had mine done in a long time, so I would love to trade and do it together.
You can trade them.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that.
That would be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun.
Thanks, you guys. I mean, I feel very blessed to meet people like you too. And I appreciate, what you're doing, and thanks for holding that space. And I love the dynamic between, mother and daughter. I think it's so very important that you're sharing.
You like it?
Yeah, love it.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate being on your podcast and getting to share space with you too. And for you also doing what you do and getting that information out there. And just, I think the more that we do that, the more that we change this energy on the earth. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
And I want to say congratulations to you for what you're doing with your children, opening up their minds and embracing it. Good for you.
You guys are great. Again, tell everybody where they can find you.
So you can find us on any social media, Daughters of the Moon podcast. And then our podcast is actually on pretty much all the platforms. And then our website, if you Google Daughters of the Moon, it will come up. So
you can book appointments with us and things like that too.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Love you much. And I hope to hear from you both and work with you soon.
Yes, you too.
Thanks for listening to Sense of Soul podcast. And thanks to our special guests for joining me. If you want more of Sense of Soul, check out my website at www.mysenseofsoul.com, where you can work with me one-on-one or help support Sense of Soul podcast by donating to my coffee fund. Thanks for listening.